One of the reasons for this channel is that 30 years ago, I became interested in photography, but really had no idea how to compose images. And I struggled for decades to make images that portrayed how I felt or thought about situations, but really largely was unsuccessful. Until the concepts of asymmetrical balance and the brightness weight illusion and subject versus object based imagery uh, were introduced to me. And since that time, I've just been over the moon, thrilled with my ability to consistently create good imagery. And that's why this channel exists. So there's at least one place that people can come to get information on these subjects so that they can experience the immense pleasure that I get from creating imagery this way. So let's talk about how this particular image was composed. Obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously because maybe not to you, but this is my wife and daughter. And so for me, obviously, the impulse to take the photograph was to take a picture of them. But as I mentioned in the previous video, good imagery is a confluence of emotion and intellect. The emotional part is obviously my wife and my daughter feeding the ducks, but the intellectual part of it is the geometry, the balance, the ratios. And so for me, the way that I composed this was the combination of this bright light over on the far left of the image and the two human figures serve as the weight for this image, which is counterbalanced, generally speaking, by the dark branches over here on the right, the reflections of the trees, and the ducks and the bright ground over here. So basically, the geometry or the relationships between the parts of the image are these small figures over here and these larger figures over here. Delving a little bit deeper into what it is that I like about this image, if I may use the term brushstroke, hopefully it doesn't come off as too pretentious, but that's kind of how I see these little wisps of tree branches here that have caught light from the sun against the dark background. I really like these delicate and subtle little additions to the scene and the lines on the ground created by the shadows from the trees. This picture was taken on February 23rd, 2022, near the intersection of West Cordova Street and Granville Street in Vancouver, Canada. And if there's interest, I can show the progression of images that I took to arrive at this one. But the purpose of this video is to talk about how the image was composed, what I was thinking about compositionally when I structured this image. So the windows on the right and the human figure and this sharp triangular bright spot on the ground are basically the weight of the image. And I panned the camera over to the left to find enough material to counterbalance these four objects on the right. So I feel that this image is a well-structured, balanced or composed image because the weight on the right here is sufficiently counterbalanced with the objects on the left. Another thing that I was excited about when I created this image is the convergence of this line here and this line here, all leading down toward this sort of focal point in the image. And I enjoy the rhythms of shapes in the background here, and that's how this image was structured. If you like, feel free to comment on this image or make requests for other types of subject matter to be covered within this subject. And if you like, feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.